Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Uckfield Business Podcast with me, Ian Noble from Uckfield Chamber of Commerce. Before I introduce our guests to us, apologies for the graphic there. Of course, we're starting today at midday, our new time for the Uckfield Business Podcast. We are working on some new graphics, so I promise you that next time we have the correct graphic up at the start of the show. But joining me today is Genevieve Gresset. I learned how to pronounce her surname properly in the pre-show from the lounge. Genevieve, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm good. Thanks for having me here, Ian.
That's a pleasure. And you've got your lounge behind you. That is your actual lounge behind you. It's not one of these Zoom backgrounds that you can get in. It's an actual background behind you. So that's fantastic. So we can see the lounge there. And we're going to be talking a lot more about that a little bit later on. But before we get into finding out a little bit more about you, Genevieve, this Uckfield Business Podcast, we've been talking about a story that's rumbled on and on in Uckfield for a little while now. At the other end of the town to you, at the top of the town, the old Maiden's Head building was falling down, and the scaffold had ventured into the road for about 3 or 4 months. We had temporary lights and all kinds of problems. And traders were complaining that footfall was down. So the Chamber of Commerce, together with the Town Council, put some pressure on Wealdon and Highways to get it sorted. And we're delighted that for a little while now, for the last few weeks, the new scaffold solution has meant that just the pathway has been closed and the temporary traffic lights have been removed. And Uckfield is moving freely again, which is fantastic. Not sure about the long-term solution to the building, but we'll worry about that later. But in the short term, where we're happy that the temporary traffic lights have gone. Now, a big event that's coming up in Uckfield in just a few months' time, and here we are in mid-September. I sort of hesitate in mentioning the word Christmas, but it is just around the corner. Literally, it is going to be about 10 weeks away now, I think, until our late night shopping evening in Uckfield, where the high street closes to traffic. Now, you were in town for this last year, Jen, weren't you? You've experienced this evening before now?
Yes, we literally just opened a few months before, so we were flung into full-on Christmas last year. And we will be open again this year as well.
Excellent. Well, let me just tell you about how, for any businesses that are watching and listening, how they can support the event. So this event is put on by the Chamber of Commerce, and we do get a small amount of income from the store holders, so food and drink vendors throughout the whole high street fill the lay-bys and serve the public of Uckfield. So there's a little bit of income from that. But the only other source of income we get is from our late night shopping magazine, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see in the bottom left there. That was last year's magazine. And there is still a little bit of advertising space left in that. And literally, we need to know very, very quickly. So within the next week, we need to know for definite whether you're able to advertise and get your artwork in. Adverts start from as little as £195 for half a page in there. And that's 7,000 copies of that magazine distributed throughout the local community. We also have our elf hunt in the retail shops, and I think Jenny, you're taking part in this year. Have I heard that correctly?
Yes, we did it last year as well, and we moved our elves around the window every few days. So really have a proper look.
The naughty elves. So you need the particular elf with its name around its neck. And the idea being that we need 20 or 25 stores to participate in this. And the children in the town will go around and find all the names of the elves, write them down and post them in that elf post box, the elf and safety box made by the Men's Shed in Uckfield. That's going to be in the Civic Centre over that weekend of the 5th to the 8th of December. So you can see some of the other things that are going on there. We have our children's choirs, the fire engine comes out, we have dance shows and all kinds of other great things. So note the date now, Uckfield people, Friday the 5th of December, Uckfield will be in full festive flow. So that's great. Let's move on to talk about you, Genevieve. This is what we're here to do today, and your business. Your business is called The Lounge, and we'll talk more about those pictures in a moment or two. But tell us, first of all, a little bit about you and your background, because When you Google Genevieve Gresset, the first thing that comes up, it says this. It says there are only 12 master certified matchmakers in the world, and Genevieve is one of the best. That's rather a nice thing to be written about you, isn't it?
Oh, that is really nice. And yes, I am one of only 12 master certified matchmakers in the world, which it's a hard title to live up to when people come to you and say, I'm single, help me. But I've been doing this for 36 years now. I've had other work as well, but I sort of fell into it by accident, actually, and then went and studied to become a master certified matchmaker. I'm one of the trainers as well. I train other people, and I'm also a coach. I'm an ICF qualified coach. I'm a business coach as well as a relationship coach. And I found when I was doing business coaching, it always reverted back to relationships. Whenever there was a problem, when I was going into businesses and supporting that business, the problems always came back to the relationship dynamic within the company, or problems at home that people were bringing into the business, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with in your business life as well, Ian. So I sort of put my energy and effort and focus onto studying human behavior and dynamics with couples, with singles, and each year I go off and educate myself in more things, and that's been my bag. So yes, some people say, okay, you're doing this, so why now the lounge? So it's been an interesting journey and a very interesting transition.
Very good. I mean, most people would run a mile when it comes to relationship advice. They turn the other way and pretend they hadn't heard. How did you get into starting this and giving advice to people? Did you just fall into it? One of your mates needed some advice, so you gave it to them. You found you were quite good at it. How did it start?
I've always been one of these people that wants to help, and I don't like seeing people suffering or in pain, and always trying to find a solution. I think I'm very solution orientated. Even as a child, I was very solution orientated. And wherever I worked in my early years, I worked at Sky from age 19 when it first started, and I was in the newsroom, and I was there when one of the wars broke out. I think it was the Gulf War. Right. And we were doing 24 hours, and people's relationships were struggling. And I would cover other people so that they could go home and see their spouses and see people, because I felt sorry for them. I thought, oh my goodness, they can't break up over this. It's terrible. And I think I've always been in love with love. I'm a hopeless romantic, which helps in this industry as well. And it's one of those things that I started just naturally doing it. And then I had something called the Secret Supper Club, which was just for fun. It was once a month, inviting people who were single for dinner. First,
where did you go for dinner? Around your house or to a restaurant?
It started around my kitchen table.
Did it really?
Literally. And then
Secret Supper Club.
Yes, okay. It was called a Secret Supper.
Okay.
Because you never knew who was going to turn up. And sometimes I didn't even know who was going to turn up.
Oh, my life.
And then I know, and then within a few months, there were so many people that wanted to come, and this is pre-internet, so I just had little cards of people's names, and I would fax them or ring them up with details. I know, fax them. Can you believe it? Most people won't even know what I'm talking about.
No. A fax is short for facsimile. You put a piece of paper in a machine and it sent it somewhere else. Yes.
Yes. Meet us at this day and time. It's like some secret code.
Under the clock at Waterloo Station.
Oh, I've sent many people there for dates with a carnation in their teeth. You think I'm joking? And there's things we did in the club in London. But it was one of those things that I soon realized that people didn't know how to connect. They didn't know. They might be brilliant in business. And in fact, the people who were more brilliant in business, the harder, because I was in recruitment at that point. So I'd be recruiting clients, sorting things out. And they say, I wish you could find me a partner as easily as you can find me someone to work in the business. And I've been a headhunter for 10 years, and I ran this alongside it. And within the first year, I had 8 weddings. 8 couples got married.
Did they invite you all to the wedding? Did you go to
some
8
of
weddings?
Them. Sometimes.
It could be quite expensive buying a wedding gift every time, couldn't it?
Well, it was a bit skint in those days. And it was one of those things that it was just really lovely. It was just heartwarming to see all these lovely people connecting and getting together. But that's when I got into coaching, because people would say to me, can you come and help me get clothes? I don't know how to dress. And I take them shopping on a Saturday and get them some nice outfits ready for the Thursday night suppers. And very soon I had a database. Well, in fact, I moved from my Rolodexes. I had to move to a spreadsheet, which was really big news in those days. And I had over 1,000 people within 2 years.
So did these people, was it a business model? They paid you a fee to be on the list, and you...
Yes, it started. That's when the business started, and it snowballed. It kind of got almost out of control.
Right. Okay.
But I had to give up my day job and do this full time.
Okay.
And so that's how it started, really.
Very good. Now you've been on television in your role as a relationship expert. Married at First Sight, season 5. You were the matchmaker coach. Tell us. I mean, forgive me, I haven't seen Married at First Sight season 5. Maybe I should go.
I haven't either.
Thank goodness for that. Tell me a little bit about working in TV and how that all went for you.
Yeah, they've been contacting me for a while to come in. They said that they hadn't had any successes. Married at First Sight is a franchise around the world, and in TV talk, it's if you don't have successes, you can lose that franchise. So I was brought in to bring in some professionalism, some stuff on the matchmaking side that would actually give them a couple that would work. So I helped reconfigure the program, put a format together. I helped with the matchmaking behind the scenes, and before I knew it, I was actually the presenter and on it with my old mate Paul Brunson. I've known Paul since he entered the industry. So, Paul and I had great fun doing that. And three out of the 4 couples are still together today, 5 years later. So it is the highest successful show for Married at First Sight in the world still today. Wow. With the highest success rate. So that's lovely. That's something to be very proud of.
Did they not want you to come back and do any more? Have they done season 6 and so on?
They've done season 6 and 7. It's now gone onto a celebrity bit. Mel has taken over Mel from the Australian series has taken over my bit. I went off to work in the States for 4 years after that.
Right.
So I wasn't here in the UK, and it wasn't something I wanted to pursue, because I'd given them what they needed to continue with the show and keep the franchise, and I didn't want to go into sort of the celebrity influencer style that they were going to. It's not my bag.
Okay, how interesting. That's good stuff. Thank you for that. So, fast forward a little bit. You've been to the States for 4 years. You worked in Sky TV. We've heard about that. So how did you end up in Uckfield? Why the Pamper Lounge initially and the lounge now? So tell us a little bit about the backstory more recently, Jen, if you would.
Yeah, so the last 18 months when I got back from doing to and from the States, I was thinking about, okay, I've still got my clients, I've still got my coaching business, I've got retreats. I was running retreats with Champneys pre-COVID. COVID killed that. I also had a business in London, in Berkeley Square for many years, for about 10 years, and sold that. And that was a dating business. And I got to the point where I thought, okay, I want something that's local. I'm the other side of 50 now. I've got children, grandchildren, and I didn't want to be traveling into London, and I didn't want to be traveling to and from the States and everywhere else. So I was looking for a venue, and when I met Steve, my partner, we said it would be really great. He's coming up for retirement in the next couple of years, and we said it would be nice to have a business together that we could do. He's a male mentor and coach, hence we're doing the new show that we're doing together, which is great fun. And I said it would be great to have a venue to do that from. I saw Maria's post about selling the Pamper Lounge, and the next day I messaged her. I was at dinner with 2 girlfriends and said, what do you think? One of them's got a shop locally already, and she was loving it. Pip at Ma Maison, she said, Jen, you'd love this. It'd be great. It'd be great to have you up the road. We never see each other because we're both so busy. It's ridiculous. And I came to see Maria, and I said, it was sort of love at first sight with the venue. There was something very magical. And I thought, okay, I can do everything that I want to do. I can do my coaching. It's a great base for a dating show. The pamper things that they do, I worked years ago for the Body Shop. I did train as a reflexologist. So all of these things, it was like bringing everything together as a student.
Wow.
I loved working in a cocktail bar. Everything I've done in my life almost accumulated and under one roof was very exciting. So I thought, okay, let's have one last hurrah in business before I fully retire. And I've never worked so hard in all my life, honestly.
There we go. There we go. And there's at the top there, Steve, your partner, lovely chap he is. And I don't know, was that your first day, the one in the middle, and then more latterly,
Yes.
is that right? Or?
Yeah, so the one of the two of us when it's got the Pamper Lounge sign, and that was our first day just over a year ago.
Yeah.
Then obviously the one with you dressed up in your murder mystery outfit was only a few days ago, which is wonderful. The lounge picture was we've had a refurb in the last month, so that's recent. The one in the middle of me and Steve outside, that's at the East Sussex National, where we filmed our grand finale for the Back to Basics dating show in the summer. And the other one of Steve and I with our T-shirts, which I don't think either of us will ever wear again, was for the relaunch of the lounge on the 1st of August. And I think the other one was I think you took that for the Chambers lunch.
Yeah,
actually,
so we've had you mean early on, I mean, as soon as you bought the business, you reached out and joined the Chamber of Commerce, which is lovely. So thank you for doing that. And we've got to know each other a little bit since then. That picture in the middle there with all the food with you smiling was a chamber lunch, one of the informal lunches we now do.
Yes.
And we've done 3 this year. We've stopped them now leading up to Christmas. We'll start them again next year, which was great. And this is probably one of the most informal types of networking, where there's no elevator pitches or long speeches. It's just about food and chat business. So that was great to visit and experience your premises there. And as recently as last Friday, we were dressing up Murder Mystery, and yours truly is there on the left, with some friends and my wife on the right. And I found out at the end that I was the murderer. So,
that was hilarious.
But I do think now, if you invite me back, the chances of me being a murderer again is probably quite slim. Is it? Is that how it works?
I've got no idea, because it's not us that runs it. We don't know anything. We host these murder mystery nights, and who knows? You might be the serial killer by the end of the year, Ian.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things. We've buddied up with Murder Actually, which is a team in Brighton, and they were looking for some venues outside of Brighton to host these wonderful evenings, and they do them as corporate events, hen do's, Christmas do's, parties. So it's great to be one of their sort of approved venues to host these, which is it brings a different dynamic to Uckfield. I think having these themed events, I think it's a good fun and a good way to sort of connect with friends or even colleagues.
Indeed, absolutely. And also I should give a shout out to French's Fancy Dress. Donna French is well known in Uckfield. She's a local town councillor. She runs a fancy dress business. So my dapper outfit came from Donna, and I was grateful to her for sourcing me out right at the last minute. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to look 1920s style, Peaky Blinders, whatever it was.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's lovely when everything collaborates together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of, and one of the things I've loved about the community and working within the community and joining the chamber. It was one of the things that we really wanted to do was bring this whole sense of community together.
So you bought the Pamper Lounge, but quite quickly you've rebranded.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the thinking behind the rebrand, Jen.
So obviously I'm a relationship expert, apparently, according to Wikipedia.
Well, I think you are. So that's not questionable.
So one of the things I always do is I always like to take a temperature check, and joining the chamber early on, I think even before we opened, we joined the chamber, and listening to people, talking to people. The door's open and I'm outside talking to people constantly on the street. And I think the Pamper Lounge was a bit confusing for people. And Maria, obviously, with her two visitors to see the side of us, it was a natural name for her and for what she wanted the space to be used for. But for Steve and I, we very much wanted it to be a place where people could come in on their own if they wanted to. And we started something called the Lounge Society a couple of months ago, which is for women. And I think it's one of those things that there aren't enough places for women. When I was going through my breakup and my divorce, 10 plus years ago, there was nowhere for women to feel that they could be heard or even just sit with a cup of tea. And we've got special mugs, which are all hugs in mugs, deliberately. Everything's been thought about from a psychological perspective. So that when people come in, they can come in for fun, for parties. They can come in for a cup of tea, for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. And we get a lot of people who just walk in and read a book, walk in and do knitting. We do painting evenings. We do craft things where people make friends and make connections. And you're never alone for very long. A few weeks ago, we had a brunch here and had about 6 women who were on their own. I said, do you want to sit together? They were like, okay, because they were talking over each other. I said, why don't you all sit together? By the end of it, they planned to come back the following week, and they did on the Friday evening and met up on the Friday evening. And I think loneliness is one of the biggest problems that we're facing in society nowadays, is that feeling of loneliness.
Sure. So is it? I mean, the Lounge Society is for women only. You made that very clear. I know you welcome guys into the lounge as well. It's not just for women.
No.
But talk to me a little bit about what. I mean, we sort of talked about this pre-show a little bit, so we'll just talk about it again now. Am I right in saying, am I allowed to say this in 2025, that for a woman to walk into a public house and walk up to a bar, an empty pub, if you like, say the Station, which is almost opposite you, and buy a drink at the bar, sit at the bar, or go and sit at a table on their own, is still not the sort of done thing in 2025? And that's why you're looking for an alternative for people? Is that right? Am I allowed to say that?
It should be the done thing. And I've traveled the world on my own, and I've gone to so many places, sat down on my own. But it's a time where you do feel vulnerable. You do feel people are looking at you, and you do feel people look at you and feel sorry for you as well. And you think, I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I'm quite fine on my own.
Yeah.
But I felt it was really important to create this space that it's okay to come in on your own. It's perfectly fine, and it's perfectly normal, and it's very acceptable, and no one is here to judge. We did a cocktail evening in the summer, and we had a gin festival. Most of the people that came on their own had an absolute blast. I mean, obviously you had groups that were together, but it's one of those places where all the people that came in alone, and we had a couple of men that came alone as well, it wasn't just the women, and they all said, it's so lovely to have a place that you can come on your own, and you know there's going to be other people that you can communicate and talk to and have fun with.
Excellent. So it is an alternative venue to go and sit and relax, either on your own or with friends, and either way you'll be very welcome. If you want to talk to people, that's fine. If you want to sit and read a book or do your knitting, that's fine too. Yes.
Absolutely. And obviously we're a party venue. We're open for parties. We've got a new menu, which I think is very exciting. With brunches, our bagels are going down a storm. The only place in Uckfield that do bagels, so that's going down a storm. As is our afternoon tea. And for Christmas, we've got afternoon tea with the Grinch, which I think for families, which I think will be really nice and a bit different. We've obviously got the murder mystery events. We're open for private hire for parties, and twilight spas, all sorts of things for women and for men. We do daddy-daughter stuff, so dads can learn to do hair and nails. So, the men are wholeheartedly encouraged to embrace this too.
So you haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater completely on the pamper stuff. You've still got that there in the background.
We have, and the room at the back, which has got relaxing, is our pamper room. And so we are still doing ladies spas, children's spa parties, mermaid parties, pop parties. We're still doing all of that. But there's an emphasis now that the lounge area, which is the bit that I'm sitting in, the bar and the cafe, is much more community space as well.
Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about the lounge, Genevieve, that you would like to mention this afternoon that we haven't asked you about?
Well, we are going to be doing dating events here as well.
Okay.
So singles nights. I'm going back to it. I can't get away from it.
You can't leave it alone, really, can you? Let's be honest.
It's that itch that keeps going. So yes, so singles nights are going to be coming along soon too. Apart from the singles dating show, we are going to be doing singles nights too here.
Okay, good. Well, and the singles dating show, where can we see that?
That will be on YouTube. There is an Instagram page called Back to Basics, and that's TWO. So people can follow that, and then we'll be launching that probably in November time, just before Christmas. Our first season will air, and we're auditioning at the moment for people in their 30s right now. So if anyone's single and in their 30s and fancies working with Steve and I to help break those patterns, then please do get in touch.
There we go. Single and 30 and get along. Give Genevieve a call or an email. And how can people get in touch with you?
Well, there's the lounge. There's, as you've noticed, you can Google me. I've also got relationshipretreats.co.uk. There's the Pamper Lounge Uckfield. We're just changing it. There's the Lounge Society, which is our Facebook group. There's lots of different ways, or just pop in, have a chat, and whatever works for you, we can put you in the right direction.
Indeed. Genevieve, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Fascinating talking with you. And I'm sure, you could talk for a lot longer about all the experiences you've had and the many famous people. You mentioned a couple of people pre-show. We haven't even touched on those that people would have heard of. But I've sensed that this isn't the last time we're going to do this, I sense.
Oh, well, thank you.
We'll get you back and talk with you again. But don't leave us now. We're just going to finish the show for the last 2 or 3 minutes talking about the chamber events that are coming up in the future. I know you've been a great supporter of chamber events over the last year or so. As early as next Tuesday, we have something a little bit different called a perfect pitch workshop, or a pitch perfect workshop. Not quite sure which way around it is. This is just 2 hours for any chamber member or any business person to come along and be part of a workshop to polish up their elevator pitch. So at networking events, it's customary to do a 60-second elevator pitch, or sometimes if there's lots of people, it's only 40 seconds. So it needs to be really polished so people can remember you amongst lots of others. So this is going to be a great workshop. It's being run by a lady who's got a business in the high street, Jill Wedge, who runs the Village Artisan store in Post Office Square. It is free for members. If you're not a member and you'd like to attend, it is £15. 14 places have gone already, and we've got a maximum place we can cater for 20. So that's next Tuesday. Following that, our next chamber networking breakfast will be Trading Boundaries, a new venue for us at Sheffield Park, just outside of Uckfield. 7:30 start for a full English breakfast and the opportunity to practice those elevator pitches with a team from the Wellbeing at Work East Sussex County Council as our speakers. And you can book for that now. You don't have to be a chamber member. You can book that on our website. And then we have, just 2 weeks after that, something a little bit different, is that we're hosting a disability confident breakfast at East Sussex National. This is for any business across East Sussex who wants to understand how they can be more confident in employing people with disabilities. So that's on that date, and that's booking on our website as well. We move on to our autumn members meeting, which is at the iconic Picture House Cinema for the meeting itself in Screen 2. Who'd have thought you'd ever have a business meeting in a cinema? Then that will be followed by a walk over the road to their restaurant for a burger and chip supper, which would be really good. So booking is now open for that one. It's just £10 for members, and it is heavily subsidised by the Chamber as well. So we hope many of our members would join us for that one. Genevieve, do you know if you're free to join that one at the Picture House? Are you going to be around for that?
Yes, Wednesdays are better for us. As you know, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays are a little bit chaotic, but we do try and come to the Wednesday ones.
Well, there we go. Wednesday the 12th, get yourself booked in. And then, of course, Christmas Gala dinner. I think you're coming to this as well, from what you said to me.
We are.
Really looking forward to this. So We've booked Buxted Park Hotel. We're going early, so we don't clash with lots of other commitments in December. But we're going Friday the 28th of November. We've got a fantastic local magician, a guy called Bertie Pierce. He will absolutely amaze you. We have dancing until midnight. We have a wonderful 3-course meal, and all for £49.50 per head. So if you're a chamber member, and you do need to be a chamber member to attend this, then you can book your place via email with me. But if you're not a member and you like to come along, you can join and then come. That's not a bad recruitment tactic, is it? There we go. So that's a little way off yet. And then we will do all this again as soon as the 9th of October. And we've got 3 more shows between now and the end of the year. We've got the 9th of October, which is there in front of you. And on that day, I'm delighted that we'll be joined by Edward Cockle of Uckfield Motor Services. Lots of people know Ed in the town, so we're going to be talking to him. And then following that, we are on the 20th of November, the day after my birthday. We are going to be talking with Henry Adekoya. Henry runs a fantastic business called Revive Health Fitness. We're going to be talking to him about his networking. And then we're going to do a pod on the 4th of December, the day before late night shopping, to talk about everything that's going to happen the next day. So I'm really excited about that one as well. And my special thanks to our producer guy, Gordon Manklow, who's been faithfully helping us look good, Jen, in front of the cameras, in the background, making sure we got the right slides up at the right time. So thank you, Gordon, for all you do for us. And you'll be pleased with me because we've stuck to half an hour, or I'm a minute over. So there we are. Genevieve, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you for having us. Absolutely. Thank you, Ian.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And watching back on YouTube. See you again. Bye-bye.